Hello, Markus.
Hi,
How
hi
you
Ben.
doing?
I'm great. I'm good. Yeah, I'm doing
Excellent,
great.
excellent. Thank you very much for joining us on this nice evening. Well, it is in Berlin anyway. It's early spring, or no, it's late spring, early summer. My face is getting pinker as the weather gets warmer. And yeah, so I'm pleased to be here with you to talk some random data, Power BI, just general chat, basically. Do you want to kick it off and kind of give us a bit of background about yourself, who you are, and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, who is me? My name is Markus Ehrenmueller-Jensen. So my last name was not long enough, so I concatenated the last name of my wife to my last name. She's actually Danish, so this Jensen part is Danish. So we could also do this today
Nice.
in Danish if you want.
Next
Um,
time.
next time. Okay, yeah. Yeah, who I am. I'm working with Power BI since Power BI was a thing, even earlier, because I
Mm,
started working with Microsoft Data Platform back in 2006. So I was just starting with all the things when 2005, SQL Server 2005 came out,
mm,
and reporting services was useful, and integration services was useful, and analysis services multidimensional. It was not named this.
mm,
Uh, back then. Yeah, and then of course, I mean, reporting services is nice, but was not very user friendly, and so
mm.
everybody was really excited when they announced, "Oh, there's something happening in Excel." So Excel
Ah,
is becoming a reporting tool. First, I thought, "Oh my!" I thought this was a good idea, and then I heard about like they're coming up with Power BI Desktop, and I thought, "This is ridiculous, right?" Because we have already Excel, we have reporting services. They bought Popularity a couple of years ago, and then it's diminished. Nobody knows Popularity anymore. There was also Performance Point Server. I'm not sure how old are people in this call, if they can remember Performance Point Server, which then become later Performance Point Services in SharePoint, where we also
okay.
could publish Power Views, right? Also,
Mm,
it was
mm,
really, really, really weird time. And then they came up with Power BI Desktop, and I thought, how ridiculous! There's already a bunch of tools out there. Why adding another tool,
mm,
adding another confusion?
mm.
Not well done, Microsoft. That's what was my first thoughts, and then like as the months added up, and I saw, wow, they're really doing fast development, because
Mm,
the first version of Power BI Desktop was nice, yeah,
mm.
but I mean there were of course lots of features missing.
Sure.
But then I saw like they're adding things every single month, cool
Mm,
addings, cool features, cool stuff. And now I'm really happy. Yeah.
yeah.
So I was a consultant, like probably, yeah, whole of my business career.
Okay, well.
Um, was yeah, like an employed consultant, and
Mm,
in 2006 I started working with Microsoft Data Platform. In 2008 14 I started working in-house for Runtastic, a
okay.
company later bought by Adidas. All this like you can track your run and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I was not owner, so I did not get any of those 220 millions the owners
No,
earned with this deal. No, not me,
no,
unfortunately.
10-15% stashed away
No, no,
somewhere,
no, no,
right?
no, no,
Okay.
no. Unfortunately. Yeah, and then in 2018, I became a self-employed, which
Okay.
was not on my priority list. So I was
Mm,
always afraid becoming self-employed, because how do I get customers, right? Who keeps me
mm,
busy? And after 4.5 years, I have to say, I still don't know how you get busy. I just obviously have a good network. People recommend
yeah.
me. I'm
Yeah.
busy since 4.5 years and don't know
Mm.
how to get
That's
new
how.
customers. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
how, because you're good at what you do.
I don't know. I don't
Therefore,
know. I don't know. Yeah, yeah,
you're
yeah. That's what
so
I hope for. Yeah. Thank
modest.
you. Thank you for saying that. But you never know. Yeah.
Yeah. I have no experience of
In Power BI?
being no, I don't know what it is. I
Just
actually
kidding.
I have years of experience with Fabric, but Power BI
Yeah.
I've
No,
got no
okay.
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Well played.
I had to mention Fabric. I thought I might as well do it in the first few minutes to get out of the way, right? No, consultancy. I've never worked with consultancy, but this is always one of the
Okay.
things. It's it's the start point. It must be quite a daunting thing to do, to go from working for a company to making this decision for whatever reason to work for yourself and starting from this Fabric BI. Yeah. Sorry, so the common Fabric BI
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah. I've seen this.
Yeah, to actually say, okay, I'm going to do this on my own, and I need to build my own client base and all that kind of stuff. So respect that you did that, and obviously it's working out well for you. So,
Yeah, it
um,
is. It is. Yeah.
are there any other? how often in the first few months, maybe it's zero, but how often in the first few months do you be like, I regret this. This
No,
is
never since 1.5 years. So I was
no,
really
okay.
lucky because like the first client, they like employed me for
Mm,
3 days a week. So I had
okay.
like a fixed contract on this. I
That's
was
cool.
self-employed, but
Yeah.
this kept me busy, and then only had to find something for the other 2 days of the
Mm,
week,
mm.
which was rather easy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Especially
nice.
thanks to Power BI. Like 80% of my revenue stream is because of Power BI, to be
Yeah,
honest. Yeah.
it's quite funny. I
Yeah.
spoke to Will Thompson. I was forgetting his name. Will
Mhm,
Thompson
mhm.
when he left the just briefly when he left the Power BI team, and I was just saying, it must be an amazing thing to have helped develop a tool that's changed the trajectory of so many careers.
Yeah.
It's such a strange. I mean, because there are so many stories like that, right? Where people were just doing, some bit of work and they discovered Power BI and they loved it and it just kind of went down that path. So it's amazing that you can have what is, of course, well, Power BI. You went to yeah. I love actually. This is the thing. Will Power.
Yeah.
He was working on this project that was secret. He wouldn't tell anyone about it for so long. Remember? And he was, I can't
Mhm,
tell you, I
mhm.
can't tell you. And of course, it turned out to be this. Was it? Is it Accelerator?
Yeah, I think I'm still not used to the new names and new things
All
here.
this,
Yeah. But I think something like Data Explorer, no, it's not the Data Explorer, it's Data Accelerator.
yeah.
Makes
It's
sense. Yeah,
it's
yeah,
for
yeah,
for
yeah,
the
yeah.
the live streaming data sets within Fabric. And I always want to call Fabric Fusion. By the way,
Mm-hmm.
I think because it's in my head, it's just a better name because you're
Hmm.
fusing lots of things together. But I'm sure it was copyrighted by like 1,000 different companies. Microsoft has so many products that must be so difficult to come up with a name.
Yeah,
Yeah, which is why I get so frustrated by the name Power BI Metrics
yeah. I mean,
because it's just
it could be a measure, right? A measure
it's
could have been named metrics, right? I
it
mean,
made conversations immediately
yeah,
so much more confusing.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
should we use metrics? Well, of course, we use metrics to build a report. That's what you use metrics for. No, Power BI metrics. Oh, okay, that's what that means. It's just
Yeah,
to
or
keep this.
dashboards, right? People tell me they build a dashboard and say, yeah,
Yeah,
in the service or in Power BI Desktop, Power
yeah,
BI, then it's a
yeah,
report, right? I mean, not
yeah. And
complaining, but yeah.
in reality, no one's created a dashboard in Power BI since like 2019. To be honest, I love the way they have all this stuff. And if you look at the documentation for part of Fabric, Fabric jobs, yeah. I'll bring that up in a second. If you look at the documentation for Fabric, one of the parts is saying that it works for this, and this, but not for dashboards. I'm like, of course it doesn't work for dashboards. What's going to what's going to work for dashboards? It's like you have this amazing new product that they've released, and dashboards are just sitting there like, please kill me, I want to die, because they haven't been updated in so many years. It looks like such a legacy product. I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the way it goes.
Not many of I have some customers, so to my own surprise,
Mm,
sometimes I discovered that customers actually use dashboards, and
mm,
I'm really confused because I'm not used to using them. I show them when I
mm,
teach people about this is a dashboard, right? This is what
mm,
Microsoft names a dashboard,
yeah. Mm.
but not doing too much with the dashboard. So I can live with it that it's looking the same for many years now. Yeah,
If you don't tell them, they'll never know. So you'll never have to
yeah,
work with them.
yeah,
This is just.
yeah,
I know you of course, you're just being very good at your job and just training people on all the aspects of Power BI. But if you just leave it out, they're never going to find it. So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
You've written a couple of books, or you've written, yeah, right? And you're currently writing a book as well. Am I
I'm
wrong?
currently writing a book. Yeah, that keeps me really, really busy.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's already uh, uh, big big job, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Like I collected all my like examples and talks from the previous years, so I have
Mm,
like some basis, but sitting them down and like shaping things into
mm,
words, and
mm,
then all the discussion to the editor, and then I find maybe I also sometimes find bugs in my own examples, because if you sit down and really write it
mm,
like try to
mm,
explain it in very details, because in 60 minutes I can also show so much, right? But
yeah.
if I want to write a book, it has to really be exact, and then I go through my things and discover things, and this
Mm,
is time craving. So
yeah.
it always takes much longer than I planned for.
I could say something like I can imagine, but I can't imagine because I've never even
Yeah, you
tried to
should
do it.
try. You should try. I mean, it's a lovely experience, and if you then hold your book in hands, I mean, this
Yeah,
is with your own name on it. I mean, this is nice. It's a nice feeling, right? Um,
that
and
would be
especially for
cool.
the
Yeah.
current book, the data modeling book, this was something there are some books out there about data modeling, and so I wanted to add something new there. And I don't think there's too many books about data modeling out there. And this came up with, so I came up with this idea of writing my own book about data modeling.
Nice.
Because there's a lot of like, if you think about the star scheme I read from Christian Anderson, this is a Bible, right? But it was written pre-Power BI. This like has
Okay.
examples in SQL there, and also everything from Ralph Kimball.
Yeah. Okay.
Also a pre-Power BI. I think he didn't even name analysis services multidimensional, but this is very
Okay.
important, right? To also
That's
see
interesting.
parts. So
Yeah.
what I try to take these concepts and transform it over to Power BI.
It's I'll just comment. Kimball.
Yeah,
Kimball. Yeah, it's a good point actually, because I think for people like me who entered this space through Power BI, to put it in that perspective.
Adamson. Yeah.
Chris Adam, Chris
Yeah.
Adam. I'll bring up the comment just so he
Yeah.
doesn't feel left out for when Chris Adamson, of course, inevitably watches this live stream, which he's definitely going to do.
Now
Yeah, exactly.
now he will, yeah.
I'll tag him, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So like I say, excuse me. I like entered this industry, this space or whatever, through Power BI. So it's nice to actually have some things that reference things that I more understand. And it's even it's a really, because I mean, from a very like visual perspective, if you see like screenshots or descriptions of things or whatever, or using examples that I'm more used to, it just makes it easier to learn, easier to understand the concepts that you're talking about. So nice, mate. I think it's obviously a cool thing what you're doing. And as you said yourself, I'm sure it is a wonderful feeling when you have it in hand and be like, I created this, I made this. You can't really do that with a YouTube video. So it's a cool thing that you actually have that ability to kind of to create something. But I talking about the skill to do that, to write a book. I mean, I think people who've seen these live streams before, I don't really have this skill to be like a concise person, which is why sometimes I just like ramble on for like a good 5 minutes. And then I'm like, what was the point of what I was saying? Whatever, let's go on the next topic. So that must be, it probably, I mean, I'm guessing like kind of helps you like train your brain also in that way as well, to think in a different way, to kind of understand and explain concepts in a clear, concise way. I don't know.
It's the whole concept for about my conference talks. This is the way I learn things.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I think of what could be a cool topic, what would I like to attend at the conference?
Yeah.
And maybe a topic where I know something, but not really an expert now.
Okay.
And then I sit down, write some abstracts, and if I'm lucky or like having bad luck, this abstract gets accepted, and then I have to sit down and really dig into, like, keep making all the examples and then do the research, try things out, learn on your own. This is the way which I keep myself motivated to learn new stuff. Because the other way would be like to wait for a project. Like, I mean, you can always sit down and read a book or do something, right? But to really learn it, you have to like dig into it. Either you have a project that some customer trusts in you and say, okay, we know that you're not yet an expert, but we trust in you that we can build this together. Like with Fabric, there's no experts out there, right? So you can find a customer learning things there. Or the other way around for me is to pick a topic and then make a conference talk out of it. And if it's accepted, I have to,
It's actually not a bad idea, to be honest. Yeah. Just really kind of force a deadline upon yourself.
Yes,
really.
And it's a deadline, exactly, because the date is set, right?
It's actually not bad.
So there's no excuse. I mean, there can be excuses, but in the end, it has to be a well-done presentation, right?
So you could really create a presentation topic, and you could just call it, I will teach you every fact about Fabric, and just give yourself like a 3-month deadline. And then you'll solve another problem, because then you will be that expert on Fabric. And then, wow, amazing. See?
Yeah.
You
Self-fulfilling
you can take that idea, mate. That's
yours. Okay.
I'll come to your talk and sit at the front. And I was going to say, and I'll ask all the questions, but I wouldn't have any questions to ask, because I'll be like still trying to click my way through and just making an absolute mess of everything. Oh man. I had a situation yesterday, and it was really cool and quite embarrassing at the same time. I was on Twitter, and I just mentioned that I was having massive problems with Fabric.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't do anything. Like literally, I couldn't load data at all. It just wasn't recognizing it, and it was awesome because I'm gonna say Chris Webb, but it's not Chris Webb. It's Charles Webb.
Mm-hmm.
Charles Webb. He like immediately replied and said, "Just let me know what I can help with." Blah blah. Like in the DMs, and just as he was writing that, I realized that I'd been creating everything within my workspace. Now I never use
Ah,
my workspace unless I'm testing.
yeah.
I only use workspace for testing, so I was using
Mm-hmm.
my workspace for testing. And it's a strange thing that if you create a data warehouse in Fabric
Mm-hmm.
and then you create a pipeline, the pipeline with the data is to end up in the data warehouse, it actually won't recognize that the data warehouse exists. Just the name's just not there. It just you just can't find it. And
Okay.
I'm and the issue is, of course, it's a new product, but it's a new area to me as well. So I'm like, what's wrong?
Yeah.
Is it my fault or is Fabric's fault? So I just kind of saw that as Charles messaged me, but we did like a call anyway, and he recorded it, and he said, if you don't mind, Ben, I'm going to record this, because this is a really good like thing for like the team to have a look at and see. But mate, I felt so stupid. Like it's great what he's doing, and I really respect it, and I really appreciate it. But at the same time, it's like basically I'm the recording so they can like use like the lowest possible knowledge factor. Me stumbling through, clicking through like a fool, and I'm like, I feel like someone's gonna store this on on Microsoft somewhere and say, "Come on, watch this video. This is so funny, man. Grab the popcorn."
I don't
Um,
think so, huh? Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just
yeah,
it's how I am. I'm
yeah,
very harsh on myself. Like when I
yeah.
can't do something, I really get myself like I judge myself really harshly in that way. So I know what he was. It's great what they're doing, and he was really talking about the team interaction, like how they do with Power BI. You know, if someone tweets or says this doesn't work very well, they're quite proactive in messaging
Yeah,
and saying how
yeah,
can we improve it, and they want to. I mean, it's the same team for Fabric, so they want to do that as well, which is awesome.
yeah.
I it's just so much to learn for me because you know as a Power BI is my thing, hence the name, right? So to learn about like for example, I'm convinced there's no difference between a data warehouse and a data lake. I think those things with two things just are just being made up to confuse me. I think they made it up just to confuse me. That's how egocentric I am. Because
But
I'm
now it's
like,
one lake, right? I mean, this should help you, right?
yeah, I
Everything is
mean,
one place. Yeah,
I'm getting the data, it's going from here, I'm doing
yeah.
stuff with there, and it ends up there. And if it ends up in the data lake or in the data warehouse, I'm going to use it for the same thing. And like, don't make up words to confuse me. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's good fun. I good fun. Have you tried it? Have you played around with it yet at all?
No, no, not yet.
Yeah.
I'm busy with my book, so every spare time, every couple of minutes
Stimmt.
I have,
Stimmt.
I
Yeah.
sit down and yeah,
Fair
like
enough. So,
so. I just have like one half of an ear out there to listen about all the
mm,
fabric things.
yeah.
So this will be when the book is finished. I will sit down and dig more in the
Well,
depth.
finish your book. Take a week
Yeah,
off, mate. Yeah. Just give
yeah, yeah,
yourself
yeah, yeah, yeah,
a
yeah.
break.
I
You
mean,
know.
there's a long list of recordings of videos I want to watch and
Yeah.
a
But
long list of blog posts I need to read.
yeah. Yeah.
For sure.
How long? Like I'm sure. Like, do you know roughly when you'll be working on the book for? Like, is there a deadline that you want to have it finished by, or
Yeah,
you just kind of?
it should be out there this calendar year.
Ah,
That's the
cool.
goal. Yeah, yeah,
That's all right.
and I try to my best to like finish it before my vacation to like to have all
Mm.
the manuscripts delivered,
Yeah.
and then the hard work begins because then you get all this feedback like about my
Okay.
bad English that have to transform it into proper English,
Come on.
and all the technical reviews also will
Mm.
most probably find some issues or awkward descriptions. Maybe that's what I expect, of course.
Okay. Okay. Nice. Okay. Are there any screenshots in the book?
Yeah, yeah, lots of screenshots.
Yeah.
But I squeezed them down to like just the portion I really want to show. So,
Okay.
so I even hopefully I don't have to recreate them just before the book
Yeah.
gets into press. Yeah,
Power BI
this
is
will
famous
happen.
for that, right? It's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
like just changing the interface, just or key buttons. I've mentioned before on these streams, but I said again, I just remember vividly. Remember that it was a few years ago now. It was probably 2019, maybe,
Hmm.
because that's when I was with not my previous company, now my previous company. Because it's changed today. And I remember I was just finishing off some view or something. I was creating like a report that was kind of like Power BI inside Power BI, like screenshots. And with lots of bookmarks and stuff to say, okay, explaining what Power BI is and what each individual element does. Yeah. And literally I just finished it and they changed everything. Everything. And I was like, you know what? That sucks and I hate all of you. It's great. I appreciate it. And then about a year and a half passed and I was like, you know what? I'm going to try it again. It actually worked really well. I was happy with it. And you know where this is going, right?
Obvious.
And I was
Pretty
like,
obvious.
it's exactly the same time. It's like, are they recording my screen?
Yeah.
It was insane. So I have such respect for anyone who's brave enough to publish anything with Power BI screenshots because my God, it can be brutal. But
Yeah, like with the other book, this AI book, I literally wrote in the introduction, like, most probably when you hold this book in hand, the product will be changed, right? So if something
yeah,
does not work as I described, please look up all the links. So I provide in the book, I provide a lot of links to the official Microsoft documentation, where I hope that they can still be found, right? Because they already they always also changed the links, right, from docs.microsoft to learn.microsoft
true.
for not very obvious reasons. But I would, yeah, but it's a different discussion. This is how I try to
Yeah.
make my way there, and also with all my material for trainings and so. I always provide the link because there's always a chance that something
Of course, yeah.
changes.
But again, I mean, obviously, I'm just joking, of course, because
Yeah.
obviously, what you write in the book as well is the key part. The screenshot is there as like a visual aid, but nothing changes so much that you don't actually. I was like, oh my God, what's going on? I now don't know what a star schema is because they've changed. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's not how it
I mean,
works.
with Fabric, this could happen, right? So I have to like have one eye on those things. Also, the Copilot, where you just ask
Yeah.
it to build your data model for it. Yeah, could be nice. Let's see how
Yeah.
this works. Maybe this book is outdated when it arrives at the market because everything is now done by Copilot, right?
I think we won't be trusting that for a good while. 1 second, before we got here, Donald Andy's saying it'd be great if you could use Power Automate Desktop to automate the screenshot process and replay it when Power BI. Yes,
That's brilliant.
that's cool. That's actually a great idea, man. Andy,
That's
can you
pretty
build
cool.
that for us? You
Yeah,
build it, and then
yeah,
we'll use it. It's a
yeah,
great idea. Now it's the easy part, just the execution of the idea. Love it.
yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. No, I'm sure it will. Of course, it'll be not updated. I mean, yes. I mean, everything. This is the nature of the industry. Right? Things change like so fast. Like this is
Yeah.
then they change that, and as you said yourself, sometimes they change, and you just don't know why they've changed it. You know, it's just for us, it's kind of like why did you change it to whatever to learn.microsoft to whatever, but what goes on inside companies
Yeah. I mean,
is
it's a huge
sometimes
enterprise, right? Microsoft.
yeah.
It's right hard to find all of you there.
Absolutely. 1 second, date when is this? There you go.
Yeah, it
Data.
tells like October. That's what like the early preview tells. It will be published on October. I don't know yet. I would not guarantee anything here, but that's the goal, right? To have it out there as a Christmas
No
present,
pressure.
right?
Exactly. See, there you go.
Don't want to miss this chance, right?
No, we're putting no pressure on you, but we all want it for Christmas.
Okay.
All right. So basically, what we're trying to say is no pressure, but you will ruin everyone's Christmas if you don't get.
If it's not finished, then yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Oh man, love it. No, but did you watch any of MS Build, or did you just like skip it because of writing and stuff?
Which one?
Microsoft Build.
A build. What did I see? I saw the. No, I only saw that the like our time. It was on Tuesday, 6 o'clock. Like the first not introduction, keynote.
Oh,
But
the
I
keynotes,
still
yeah,
didn't see the
yeah.
show from Arun and Amir. didn't see anything else. Like I
Yeah.
haven't, as mentioned, I have it on my list, but
Yeah.
the lunch break is not as long enough that I can watch all those videos.
Your dedication to your task at hand is very
Yeah,
impressive. For me, it was just one of the. It was just such bad timing. I watched the first day. I mean, not all of it, of course, bits and pieces, and it was great. Enjoyed it, and then because so this was we now at Thursday. Yeah, so last Thursday, um, it was my final day at my previous company.
Mhm.
So I was out with a lot of my colleagues, kind of like having some food and whatnot. So it was just like at that time I had quite a lot going on, and then over the weekend, me and went to Rügen, my family and
Mhm.
I, just to have like a long weekend on the beach and what have you.
Mhm.
And all the while, I mean, of course, I was having a great time, and it's nice to be away from work. But when you know all people are talking about all this stuff, all these new ideas, and there was I missed a lot of it. They were talking about like Git integration and stuff, and I missed all of. There was a huge number. Oh, this is amazing! This is so good. And then I caught like 20 minutes of the Power BI tips, their live stream. Those
Mhm.
three guys talking about stuff, getting excited. I'm like, what? Just link. What did I miss? So many updates that you see. I was thinking at one point, would it be nicer if they kind of like roll them out like month by month to not like be massively overwhelmed. I get why they did it, of course, because it's released
Yeah.
this one huge package. It's
Yeah.
like this
Yeah.
is it.
Yeah.
It's awesome, and it seems much more dramatic and huge when you do it that way.
Yeah.
Um, but to process every element all at one time, and not just the fabric stuff, also like the other elements of bits and pieces of just directly with Power BI, um, was a lot. And I think that'll keep me busy for a good few months
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
least, to be honest, because I
Yeah.
just and also like I think as Kurt Buell and a few people were saying like don't get overwhelmed by it, just kind of take your time because it's not going to have like any immediate impact on you, and of course it won't, because no companies are going to be like, yes, we'll now pay for all of this, because I mean one or two like huge companies, whatever, but I don't know, we'll see, we'll get there. And it's nice to see some of the experts kind of like not knowing what's going on as well. To be honest,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like
Because totally new, right?
yeah,
I mean, they announced some things before, right? But like, I didn't expect this package. I also was
no,
surprised by build. I mean, this was really amazing. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, it
well
wasn't it?
done. Yeah, because they delivered a lot of features the
Yeah,
past
for
month,
sure.
right? But under the hoods, they delivered all the other
Yeah.
big impact features as well.
I always wonder where these ideas come from. What's this creation point? Like, is it lots of small ideas kind of come together as one, or someone has this like idea, like it's like that's so crazy we can pull it off, that kind of stuff, like to find it really interesting where it grows from, and like how they organize it through such a huge number of people working on so many different aspects of a tool. um Very impressive.
Yeah,
But
and invent yourself again, right? I mean, we had already had Synapse, right? Synapse was a nice
yeah,
place to have
yeah.
everything there, but not now connected together
Mm,
with Power BI, with data
mm,
flow, and make a better package and even closer connected, other things that are even closer connected to each other.
mm,
This is a lot of energy, right? And a lot of thinking and also implementing them. I mean, you have to deliver this, right? Like the
for
idea
sure.
with Power Automate and Power BI Desktop sounds good, right? But sitting down and implementing this stuff, this is a lot
Yeah,
of and coordinating a lot of people. I mean, the team's getting bigger and bigger.
yeah,
I guess obviously they do a great job, right?
yeah, for sure.
Arun Amir, I guess, also the masterminds behind it. That's what I think. I don't know for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
And and if you think about Amir, I mean, he invented himself twice, right? He invented multidimensional analysis services, so the cubes.
I didn't realize
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. This was this analysis services was his company. The company was then
Oh,
bought by Microsoft.
no
He
way.
became a Microsoft fellow there, and 20 years later, he invented like he had this idea of this Vertipack engine. So he invented it himself. I mean, how big is the chance that you do this twice in your life, right?
Damn.
Other
I,
people would maybe like after you sold your company, right? You could like retire on Rügen or
yeah,
whatever.
right.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, he didn't. Yeah,
That's you.
yeah,
Wow, that's very interesting
yeah.
information,
Yeah,
Phil. Thank you for sharing that.
that's very amazing people working there, and that's
Yeah,
maybe also the reason, right? Yeah. Well, yeah.
exactly. They
Yeah.
have when you're a company like Microsoft, attracting the best minds in the field is not a difficult thing to do, because it's like this. People want to work there.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, very cool, very impressive. And I'm sorry, just this thing from Ramen. talking about we had our teams put it on their schedule. For MS Build, we had our teams put it on their schedules, and Teams was going crazy with people shouting and texting each other.
Okay.
Yeah, all that excitement, And I mean, I'm not sure where you're based, Robin, but for me, it was like a lot of it was like, or for you as well, Marcus, you've been watching like for 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. So it was like I did stay up to watch a couple of them. I stayed
Oh
up
yeah.
to watch, yeah, and then there was, I forget where I found the link, or there was someone posted a link to this like introduction to like these like not a certification, but rather a introduction, like training sort of thing. I just immediately started doing it. I was like, okay, let's have a look, see how this works, see
Really?
that
Okay.
works.
Yeah. You went
Yeah,
through.
I went through all, man. It's said, to be fair, it says it's like a 9 hour thing. It's not 9 hours. That's an
Yeah.
exaggeration. Um, and then the next day, I think about like 3 o'clock. I did most of it through the night, and then I finished the rest of it like the next day. And I was just kind of like, cool. It's like I still don't know roughly exactly what it is, but I've been through all this stuff. So yeah, but
So you went through this learning course, this online learning course provided
yeah,
by Microsoft. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I couldn't, of course, do every single of the practical
Yeah.
exercises, reading the text and going through like the questions and stuff. But what I found interesting, what I liked about it, was some of it was like really just stuff that if you work with data, it was like, okay, we have this product, we're doing this, and this with it. What do these things do? The answer is in
Hmm.
text,
Hmm.
and the next one would be like, ask questions. That was basically just like, for example, a little bit of data modeling, because obviously you're talking about, data warehousing and data structure and stuff. It's like, oh, cool. So the kind of, there's at least one or two little bits of things that I already know. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's quite cool. So I was just thinking about data modeling, and I had to laugh. I was pulling up some of your links and stuff. I do a bit of, let's call it research, because it sounds less psychopath than stalking. There's a fine line sometimes, right? And I'll pop the link in the chat in case you want to watch this. It's you did a talk, advanced data modeling in Power BI,
Hmm.
AAS, and I was watching it, and it was very interesting, liked it a lot. And the part that I kind of started on was the when you're talking about the the measure totals in
Hmm. Hmm.
data
Hmm.
tables, and I had to laugh because obviously I immediately thought of Greg Deckler,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, "This is beautiful. I'm gonna create like a sniff of it and just send him." I was like, "Look, there you go, there you go." And of course, no disrespect to Greg, I love the stuff that he does, but it just
Yeah. Yeah.
made me laugh like straight away. It's a cool thing. And some of this stuff I about 6 months ago, I was like, I remember there was a way of doing this, and I can't remember what it was. So fantastic. It's good stuff, man. You
Hmm.
and all your data modeling tutorials. Do you is it something that like I feel everyone has like this the thing that they're more drawn to, the thing that they're most interested in. And of course I know you're literally writing a book about it. So I know you're interested in it, but is that where you'd say your kind of key the thing is, your focus is?
Yeah, this came more natural. It took me a time before I realized that it's not so clear how to model the data for everybody. For me,
Yeah.
this was natural because, like I started or stopped. No, I started explaining what my career was, but I started being educated in IT with the age of 15. So there's this in
Oh
Austria. This
wow.
school system is it's like a technical high school with a college. What is between 15 and 19? So it's 1 year longer than the normal college or high
Okay.
school. Is a college, I think, in the Americans. You don't know because you're
Yeah,
in
so
UK, right?
in the UK we have like,
Second,
yeah,
secondary
we do
level.
like
Yeah.
our abitur, so like A levels,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
then after that we go to university.
Yeah.
You do your abitur, like your A levels in
Okay.
at a college, and
Yeah.
then you go to
Okay. So the
university.
college. So I did my A level not in the
Okay.
normal college, but in a technical college, which takes 1 year longer.
Okay.
So at the age of 15, I learned to write my first programs in Turbo Pascal.
That's
And with
amazing.
16, I learned assembler and C. It was C. It was not C++ or C .NET. It was just C. Yeah.
Wow.
Um, and so also with 17 we had databases. We had classes and databases, how to model third normal forms, all those things. So when this was like natural to me since ever, right? And then in
Mm-hmm.
Power BI, I said, "Oh yeah, there's a model view, cool," because then I can apply what I learned. And then I sometimes I get ask for my customers and they say, help me with this Power BI, and then see the model structure there, it doesn't make any sense for me because like this is not how I would model it. And the more I saw such things, I realized this is some skill I learned early on, right? For me, this is very natural. And then I came up with this talk, right? Because I realized that some people struggle with solving things in the data model. And it's very important, right? Because Power BI is a model-driven tool. Yeah, it's very different from Excel or report builder. And also it's talking about like star schema. It's not big star schema is so much better than other modeling approaches, but Power BI was built for star schema. That's the only reason, right?
Okay,
that's why we should care in Power BI or analysis services tablets. The same thing there. So this VertiPack engine is optimized for a star schema.
Yeah,
that's the only reason why we should care.
It's interesting that you mentioned that because I mean, of course, I fully understand the need and the importance and for a star schema. It's probably, there are these things that are oft repeated within, communities about best practices. I think it's star schema everything is something that people say quite often. That's the one that irritates me the most. And actually, it's the only one that irritates me, to be honest. Not because it's wrong, but I'm like, but the reality of data is sometimes very different from what I mean. It's not like I have one table and then I have two other things. It's not that easy. There are sometimes it's so difficult and sometimes just impossible.
It is never impossible. There's always
I'm wrong. Okay,
of course. But I totally agree that like the data as you see it naturally before you load it into Power BI is never ever in a star schema, unless you have the luxury of having access to a data warehouse, right?
But I'm really interested. So you're saying it's always possible to create a star schema, regardless of no matter how complex the data is.
I would say that. Yeah.
I've failed so many times.
Okay.
No, I mean again, it's something that I always like really aim for. But I've been in a couple of situations where I've created a model and I know the model works, and I'm happy with it because it was just I think one of my proudest moments with a data model actually came about 6 months ago. And again, I'm saying this with absolutely zero disrespect to the person because she's a very, very good engineer. But it was actually quite funny because I was connected to an API and the data was pretty complex. And they assumed that because I created the model and the amount of data that was in the model, they just assumed that it needed to be optimized, changed, improved, which is fair. I understand that because that's not my massive area of competence. I can do it, but when I get to more complex, other people take over. You're better at it. But it turned out that what I created was the only way that it worked, and I was like, "Come on, man, that's pretty cool." The engineer tried to improve it, but it didn't. But it didn't work the way it should. And I was like, "Oh, we'll have to go because that." And I was like, "You know what? I'm just going to take a brief moment to be proud here."
Really good.
But that's really interesting because I would always assume that there was some structures. There was some. I'm gonna have to buy a book because that'll reveal everything to me. There you go. First guaranteed sale.
Very good.
Okay, I consider myself corrected.
Yeah. Okay. I don't pretend it's easy, right? I mean, that's something you have to do. I mean, technically, it's not hard because basically it ends up that you still normalize your fact tables. So it would be very good to know what normalizing means. That like certain rules which you apply to the tables and split the tables and so on. You do this with the fact tables, and with the dimension tables, you just denormalize them. So you put everything which is connected to the product in the product table, or what's connected to the date table, date to the date table, without like having foreign keys from this table to other. That sounds easy, right? In reality, it's hard to find out what are the facts and what are the dimensions, and sometimes it's not clear, right? There might be things which are like changing too often for dimension, but not often enough. So this can be a hard working day, right? To find the right concept and everything. And then you need to sit down and implement it. And I'm not doing this for all my data models. If just like load something to Power BI and analyze something for myself, I don't care too much about the data model. Right. Yeah. But as soon as I publish it and other people can then connect to this Power BI data set in the service, then they can build reports. And then it would be really bad thing if the data model would be suboptimal, because later you cannot really change it, right? You have to change it. And
Then
split tables or join tables, then the reports will show error messages instead of data, right?
yeah, I
So,
hate a situation like that where you see something that you know should really be changed,
hmm
but
hmm
also you know by at this point by changing it, it's like you've got to be like, okay, is it too late? Do we need to? Is it? It's and it's like it's. I hate that. It's
yeah,
when someone hasn't done something, or I myself have overlooked something, and I'm like, I have to change it, and it's going to be like it's not just now change that one thing. It's like there's like this succession of other things that you
yeah, of
know are
course,
going to
yeah,
happen.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
so important. Actually, so do you have strong opinions on do you know when you load data to Power BI by default, it creates all the connections for you?
hmm
How do you feel about that? Do you not care or?
Depends on the it depends depends on the data model, right? If it's simple enough, then
Mm,
and I've, I like I own the data source in the sense that I can do the naming there. So if I can make
mm,
sure that like the product has a product key as the primary key and the sales
mm,
table has then a product key as well, so the naming is fitting,
yeah.
then I would give it a try, right? Then
Okay.
because it can easier work, but I always go through all them and click
Yeah.
and check if the tonality is right, that the filter direction is right,
Mm,
because I don't. I mean, I like Power BI, but I don't want to trust my soul to it, right? I want to make sure it's the right thing.
for sure.
But I have seen people struggling with that. If, for example, if you use like the primary key is just called ID or key. It's not
Mm,
product key, it's ID. And then Power BI starts to doing weird stuff because every
yeah.
table is connected with every other table. There's a lot of inactive relationships there,
Yeah.
and things are really, really crazy. So
Mm,
that then of course I would turn it off, right? But the better
yeah.
solution is to make the naming right.
And I think this is one of the things that always made me a bit concerned about it because I've often thought that having that on as default, you can quite easily, as a person who's new to the tool, right? Who maybe know about even about the concept of data modeling, or maybe you've never heard of it, right? So you open Power BI, you do bits and pieces, you have your Power Query.
Unbelievable, right? People out there who don't know anything about data modeling.
I mean, I know. I mean,
Unbelievable.
it's I'm very embarrassed for them. But what are you going to do, right? But you can essentially you could quite easily load data into Power BI and just go straight to the report building part without ever actually opening the modeling part. And because it creates those connections for you, you might have no idea what's going on, so you don't even know your own data model. My thought was always that when you load data into Power BI, if it must, for me, it'd be better if that was switched off by default. Switch it on if you want to have it on, or prompt the user. So when you
hmm
load data, actually go automatically to the model screen and say, "Shall I do it for you? Yes or no."
hmm hmm
It raises awareness of what needs to be done.
And that there is something, right? Because I mean, this is a
Right.
small icon on the left, right? It could be happen that people don't even know that this icon exists or never click there, right? Yeah, yeah, I
Exactly.
agree on that. Yeah.
And the how many times have you had the question from someone who's maybe a little bit of experience or almost
hmm
zero, and they say, "Oh, because why are all my numbers the same?"
hmm hmm hmm
You had this like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
everything, and
Then
it's like
yeah,
then
field
this
relationship
is why.
definitely. hmm
I mean, it's
hmm
nice because it's an easy answer, easy question to answer,
Yeah,
and he's like, "I haven't mean it," so like, you kind of look good, but whatever. But that sort of thing, right? Because they just don't know.
yeah.
Yeah. S-
I think part of the problem is maybe also because I think I'm not sure if I heard it from directly from Microsoft, but it's just my imagination. I think when they created Power Pivot in Excel or Power BI Desktop, they
mm,
had especially self-service users in mind. So people who were challenged with Excel, right? They couldn't solve the problems they have seen in Excel because Excel is not a database. Excel is
mm,
a spreadsheet, right? Excel is not a reporting tool.
mm,
So they wanted to offer something else. And I think this is the user they had in mind from the beginning.
mm,
And of course, in Excel, you don't model your data. In Excel, you don't do certain things you have to do in Power BI.
mm,
And I think this is the reason why they came up with these automatic features.
mm.
And I think they have still this rule like, is it yeah, 5 minutes to wow, right? And in exactly this was what I'm looking for.
Right. Yeah. 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 I want to.
So you download it, you load something there, and you're impressed how easy it is to use.
Mm, mm,
And And I get this idea because this is how you sell the product. And if Microsoft succeeds selling the product, I'm busy as a consultant. So I like the idea on the one hand. On the other hand, of course, this is not how you should consider your data, right? You have to think about the model. You have to think, I mean, you have to create a data table. Don't trust this auto data time. You have to split things into a data model. If you put everything in one table, right, it could be happen that your calculations are wrong.
Yeah.
You end up with the wrong numbers. So there's a lot of issues there, and I don't have a solution, right? I'm complaining about the defaults, but defaults are boring for not boring, but annoying for me because I have to turn them off, right?
Yeah.
And even on my computer, I have turned them on because if I do my trainings, I want to show people what they have to turn off, right? I want to like step into the traps, right?
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
so this is like this out balance, and some features are built for self-service, right? And many
Mm.
people use it for enterprise data
Mm.
wars. So whereas the data wars already there. Um, um, so some features are just meant for a certain user group, but
Mm.
not everybody falls into this user group. And this is like the hard
Yeah.
part, and
It's
also explain to
tough.
people. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. That's a good point. Like, basically, to answer to address that, really the only way to do it is
yeah,
to kind of have those on by default, to leave on the kind of easy mode, shall we say?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Because for people who know, you know. If you don't know, then yeah,
It's better than nothing, right? Also, this
it is.
auto date time is cool because if you don't know anything about data time, you can't then like you have your date column, right? And then you get a year, quarter,
Mm.
month, and you can build a report on or a field on the year, right? Without this date table, you would wonder how
Yeah,
can I field on there, and then people get frustrating, and they, of course they complain about the tool, right? I mean, this
yeah.
is what you would do if you download something and it doesn't work.
But it's really interesting that you mentioned auto daytime, by the way, because I was
Yeah,
literally speaking to someone today and saying, "Oh, it's better to switch off auto daytime." I was
yeah,
just
yeah,
saying that
yeah.
and explain, and the question was, okay, cool, sounds good, but then also, why is it
Why?
there in that case? And I was
Yeah.
like, I don't know. So that's so basically, is that the reason I tell you it is to make it? But I don't understand, therefore, the massive benefit of auto daytime, because you can still, if you don't have auto daytime, you can still use date values at
Yeah, but you
what's
cannot field on the year, right? Because there's just a
uh,
date there, right? If I don't put it in the slicer, I can select like many days, but not a year. It will not
hmm,
do this for you. So that's why you need a date table, right? You need a date
yeah,
dimension
yeah,
for
yeah,
doing all those nice stuffs. Well, I would wish for it that they give you more flexibility or
mm,
tell you more about this table, or that maybe you can remove those you don't need because if you
mm,
load the birth date, right? You also get a date table for the birthday. Or if you have the slow exchange dimensions, you have timestamps creation
mm,
modified by or valid until, then you
yeah,
get these huge tables. I want an option to delete this.
yeah,
This could be much more friendly, right?
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
it is not. So the only way is to turn it off and build on your own. And building on your own is not hard, right? I mean, you
No,
just go
no,
into. I mean, it's not hard to
exactly.
do, right? So maybe it would be better to have a wizard or something like that helping
It
you
was
to create the
just
right
about
stuff. Yes.
exactly that,
Yeah.
exactly
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And Fabric has so many wizards,
Mm-hmm,
you know,
mm-hmm,
to
mm-hmm,
to this, and it's great. And one of the things that had left me frustrated was that once you have exited the wizard,
mm-hmm.
as far as I'm aware, you can't go back into wizard mode. It's all like right there.
Yeah.
But it's great to have the wizard, and then also to kind of double click someone when the wizard like pops back up. It's such a user friendly, and that would be awesome. I completely
Yeah.
agree
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So basically, you have a wizard to guide you through the process, because it's educational as well. It kind of makes
Yeah.
you understand what's happening. Yeah, it's an
Yeah.
extra couple of minutes, but it's just once.
Yeah. Would be 6 minutes to wow, right? This would be enough, right? Would be good enough, right?
Oh, I love it. Yeah, exactly. See, man, I'll
Yeah.
send this to Charles Webb as well, and he can
Yeah.
compile
Yeah.
these ideas. And fantastic, man.
And I think also Jay is the preem, right? He also tries to simplify things, also deduct things, because
Yeah,
Dax is many times way too complicated, right? So this would be
I have one second.
yeah,
I'm going to print out this comment here. 1 second. 1 second, Donald. You got two comments of the same thing. The biggest data modeling problem I see for deaf people is copying the header detail parts of the source database. Oh, okay, fair enough. 1 second.
yeah, definitely one
The
table.
dimensions are most important part of the dimensional. model, aka star schema versus
The
RBT1.
data dimension, right? Is this what Donald refers to? Is this a
I think
question or is
so.
this like a statement?
It's a statement. The dimensions are the most important part of the date dimensions are the most important part of the dimensional model. I don't know. Good comment though.
Yeah, yeah,
Nice, like
yeah.
it. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
wizards would be helpful, right? Or like this easy and pro mode, so you could hide like some features, right? So I need different features than of course somebody coming over from Excel.
Mm,
They just want to solve something, right? They don't want to take too much care about details which are not important at the moment. This
mm,
would be helpful. Also, what I would wish for everybody who works with reporting services, you can have these
mm,
expressions. So every setting, every color, font size, everything can be an expression. I would
mm.
love having
Yeah,
this in Power BI, right? For
it
everything,
would
not
be
just for the
huge.
colors.
Yeah,
I
everything.
need the expressions there.
Yeah,
Um,
I
but of
completely
course,
agree.
as I understand, this is then hard for beginners. They're
Mm.
overwhelmed by all these possibilities there. So there's always this outbalancing things, which I totally understand.
This comes up a few times when we're talking about like just visualization as well, because
Hmm.
obviously I work a fair bit with Deneb, and we talk about like the ability to just open that up as well, easy mode, hard mode, and actually just to be able to in the visualization is just open up the code,
Hmm.
and to
Hmm.
allow. And yeah, I mean, I think the only restriction, and I think it's a great idea. The only restriction I see, and I'm probably wrong to be honest, because it's the same concept of an advanced editor in Power Query, right? Is
Hmm.
that if you had that ability to toggle between the two, potentially there are things that people won't see, so it might somehow limit the development. But actually, I don't think that's the case, to be honest, because people click on stuff, and it was Power Query. You have advanced editor, and when I first looked at it, it was terrifying. But
Yeah,
then after a while, you kind of go in there and you change some bits and pieces, and
yeah,
you feel
yeah.
like some kind of like I don't know. I'm fantastic. I can do it in the hard mode now, and it's something to kind of aim towards. Like, oh, I understand it now. You can kind of track your own progression because it's no longer the world's most terrifying thing. Yeah, I think just like across the board, hard mode and hard mode, pro mode, should we say? For Power BI. Hard mode would be very off-putting. It's like I don't want to be hard. I want it to be easy. Why would I want that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be quite interesting.
I mean, if you're working long enough with a product, then like in the beginning years, it was like an easy mode, right? If you think about the
Mm,
first version of Power BI, there
mm,
were not many options, right? You could like do just simple things.
mm,
So when I learned it was really easy because like going through all the settings in half an hour or 1 hour, you could
mm,
like learn everything about Power BI desktop.
mm,
This is not the case anymore, right?
mm,
So it's getting harder and harder.
mm.
Yeah. And,
I think learning by clicking on things is my favorite way of learning, to be honest,
mhm,
because of
mhm,
course documentation is good and you read it most of the time, but to click, to feel the experience and to see what it does.
yeah, yeah.
Like one of the earliest memories I have with any sort of thing with computers is playing computer games on my or what was it called, Atari. I had
Oh, okay. Yeah. You're
Atari.
that old? Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm 40, so yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
okay, yeah. That's fine.
Sadly, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Those are
It
vivid
was an
memories.
Atari 520 ST. I remember it vividly. It was great. I loved it, and I gathered up three of my best games because I wanted to see if it would make the games better if I used this new function I discovered called format. So I
Mhm.
decided to take the discs and format them to see what happened.
Oh, oh,
It, I was very sad when I
no.
discovered what
Yeah,
happened.
yeah. This was a sad story. Yeah, I see, I see. Oh, you formatted your discs.
Yeah, I thought. Yeah,
Wasn't there any write protection? Was this like a 3.5 or 5/4 inch, like
three and
the
a
floppy
half.
disks? Three
Yeah,
and a half. There was like
yeah,
the switch, right?
yeah. I
Yeah.
think it was not protected. I
Okay.
suppose. Um, I mean, another thing that I did that's not really computer related, but it's just something stupid. I because you think about the protection thing. I took out. I was again many years ago, and I was like probably just teenager, maybe preteen, and I wanted to record something off the TV. So I took a VCR, right? And I couldn't find a video that I could use. And I used to have like loads, like shelves of just like recorded films and like all cataloged. I'd write which film
Mhm.
started at which time. I mean, I was a nerd from very early on in my life. Um, so I couldn't find a clear VHS tape, so I found one, but the thing had been snapped off, so you couldn't record over it.
Hmm.
So I just did. You get the sellotape and you put the sellotape
Yeah.
and record over it. Did it? Fine. Recorded the film. About 4 months later, my stepdad and my mum were talking. I was like, I can't find our wedding video anywhere. Do you have the wedding? And I was just kind of.
Wow.
It was so bad, man.
Your experience in such things, right?
Yeah, and the
Wow.
thing is, I remember I didn't even get that into that much trouble for it because they were just like, "Well, what we're gonna do? It's happened now."
Yeah,
Just
yeah. I
kinda,
mean, it's yeah.
yeah, it was just like if it's snapped off, don't cover it over. It's snapped off for a reason. And
For a reason,
I was
yeah.
like, you know what? That's a fair point. Actually, I should have really checked.
You
Oh
broke the
man,
protection, right? Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Classic. So yeah, I think maybe we're there's people who quite often just learn from my mistakes, and instead of just like reading something and thinking about what could it be, I was like, no, I'll make a massive mistake and I'll remember for
Mhm.
next time.
Yeah, yeah, of
That's
course. I mean, this
class,
is learning through pain, right?
Donald. That's brilliant. I taped over the middle of my wedding video with a Simpsons
Oh.
episode.
Okay.
Which Simpsons episode? I'm curious now. Hope it was a good one.
Hopefully it was worth it, right?
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, there's also, I mean, that also, The Simpsons also portrays marriage as well sometimes. So, I mean, there you go. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, it's just one of the things that happen. But the thing is, I mean, to be honest, like, it's like now, I mean, taking so many photographs and stuff, I mean,
Mhm.
with the cameras, not having to save them all on whatever, like either OneDrive or Google Drive or two of the hard drives that I have like back here for backups of backups of backups. And it's like, those photographs might not ever get looked at again. Or like, because there are so many,
Yeah, yeah.
it's just like, and it's like the same with like, well, recordings on VHS. Yes, I record over and I felt really bad about it, but VHS just doesn't exist anymore. So I mean, they weren't going to watch it, so it's fine. What are you going to do? Oh man, fantastic, mate. It's coming up to the hour, and it's over the 45 minutes that I always say it's going to be, which it literally never is. So
Already
thank you very
now.
much.
Wow.
It's
Okay.
yeah, it goes by
Time
really
flew.
fast.
Yeah.
I'm telling
Yeah.
you. I
Amazing.
Yeah, it's just like just sitting here talking about random
Yeah.
stuff, a little bit of Power BI, a little bit of this, that, and the other. Thank you very much for joining. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you
Um,
for having me. Yeah.
yeah, for
It was
sure.
fun.
I'll love to let us know when the book's ready, so we can all.
I mean, we'll be
Yes.
sure, yeah,
So
to
we can get that.
announce.
We can
Yeah.
get those mass purchases in.
Yeah, for Christmas, right?
For
Yeah.
Christmas, exactly right. Everyone, listen, on the Christmas morning, we can all take our photographs and tag you of us with our
Show what
books.
they see what I got, yeah.
Exactly.
That will be
Uh,
hilarious, yeah.
Fantastic. No, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'll be back next Thursday with Steve Exler, who's
Mhm.
also written one a book or two. So maybe more book chat next week as well, about data visualization and whatnot. But no, it's been great fun, mate. And everyone in the chat asking the questions and making the comments, it's always appreciated. It makes it a much more fun experience when it's a group activity. So yeah, take care, everyone. Marcus, again, thank you very much, and until next time,
Yeah.
goodbye.
See you soon. Goodbye.
Don't you wanna have